How you doing, everyone, and welcome to D-Rec Dreadnought Gundam and more on PS4. And this is the RGM 79 Powered Gem. This is the Robot Gundam Mass Production Type Release Year 79 powered variant of the Gem. This is a test mobile suit. Only two known production units were made for this particular model. So it was not a mass-produced variant of the Gem, and it was based on the RGM 79 Type C Gem Kai, which you've seen a lot on the channel and will see a whole bunch more because I think that is a fine mobile suit in the game of Mobile Suit Gundam Battle Operation 2. But this mobile suit is really impressive and looks just gorgeous. And yes, I do have a 1/144 scale version of this mobile suit. I have the model and put it together, and it looks really cool. But the mobile suit itself in the lore has a very tragic story, and of course this is from Mobile Suit Gundam side story 0083 Stardust Memory, which is of course my favorite Gundam side story of all. What an awesome anime. Unfortunately, this mobile suit was doomed from the start and is really the textbook definition of a paper tiger. In 0083, there was a push to research the next generation of mobile suits. However, with Zeon being vanquished 3 years earlier in the 1 Year War, there was not a push to mass produce the latest, greatest mobile suit. At the very tail end of the 1 Year War, the RGM 79 Type C Kai was released, and it was the culmination of both the original RGM 79 line as well as the RGM 79 Command line, taking in all the great input from Battle, from the pilots, from the Gundam computer for Amuro Ray's original Gundam, and took the best parts of the Command line and applied it to the Gem to make a really good solid mobile suit. But it did not specialize in anything in particular and was really just a mobile suit to fill the role of general use garrison defense mobile suit in space and on ground, and was very modular, very easy to mass produce, and very easy to pilot and repair. However, the Earth Federation, now working in conjunction with Anaheim Electronics, which is based on the moon, Luna, the moon of Earth, they wanted to make the next generation of Gundams and the next generation of Gems as well. And so they went to testing in one of the largest bases on Earth, which is Torrington Base in Australia, one of the last fronts to be cleared on Earth. There was a lot of Zeon activity in Southeast Asia and in Australia, and Australia was finally pacified thanks to Torrington Base. So it was a major base and port of call for the Federation, but security was very lax 3 years after the war, with the remnants of Zeon on Earth confined to secret hiding places, some parts in Asia, but mainly Africa. The Zeon in space vanquished, with Side 3 now becoming the Republic of Zeon, a puppet state that was under the control of the Earth Federation, and two surviving factions from the Battle of Abaoku, where Zeon was defeated in the 1 Year War. One was what would be called the Axis Zeon, which was Char Aznable and the last surviving heir to the Sabi family, and they went to the massive asteroid base called Axis, where they licked their wounds and decided where to go from there, and simultaneously made it known that they would not be a threat to the Earth Federation, but secretly built up forces, including a fleet and new sets of mobile suits. And there was a second faction called the Delos Fleet, and the Delos Fleet was the surviving members of the 1st Assault Corps and the personal soldiers, guards, friends, and officers of Giran Zabi, who was assassinated during the Battle of Abaoku by his sister for the crime of killing his father, who was trying to make peace with the Federation. So the Daela's fleet decided not to join the future Neo Zeon, the Axis Zeon, and decided instead to make one last blitz against the Federation. They gathered forces for 3 years in the Shoal Zone, which is a man-made asteroid field, basically, where instead of asteroids you just have the wreckages of mobile suits and ships and supplies and human bodies just littered everywhere from the multiple battles in space and around Earth, where the debris started gathering together and forming their own orbit and forming their own gravity well. The Shoal Zone was a very depressing place indeed, as it was essentially a massive graveyard from the Battle of Loon, from the Battle of Abaku, and also from the Battle of Solomon. So these forces decided to go to Earth and sortie to steal the next generations of Gundams from the Earth Federation, waiting for the right moment in which to catch the Federation making a mistake. And the Federation did just that. They made a new Gundam, but they also made 2 other Gundam units, a triple set of Gundams, and the second one was the sole purpose of deploying a massive mega nuclear weapon in violation of the Antarctic Treaty between the Earth Federation and the Duchy of Zeon. Back to the powered gym. So the powered gym was a Type C gym with really excellent characteristics. It had a super large generator and many thrusters and verniers in the shoulders, in the legs, but predominantly on the backpack, where it had 2 massive thrusters. And the whole purpose of these 2 models was to research high mobility in space and on ground, and instead of using the armored gym or the DOMS method of high mobility on ground, using basically hovercraft engines and turbofans in the legs, they decide to go the complete opposite direction and just provide so much power and so much engine thrust that the mobile suit itself would just have no problem conquering Earth's gravity. So they just applied more power, more engine thrust to solve the problem. It was basically entering into the quote-unquote jet age for mobile suits, where the mobile suits of the 1 Year War were essentially the equivalent of propeller-driven aircraft when compared to this high-thrust, high-performance mobile suit. It was very expensive, but the research used from this mobile suit was also incorporated into the Gundams and just about every future Federation model that would be produced after 0083. So it was a very impressive and important mobile suit, and it trained rigorously and was tested rigorously in Torrington Base during the years of 0081 to 0083, and during testing it was phenomenal and amazing. There were many captured Zaku 2 F-types at Torrington Base, and there were many Gym Type Cs, and these 2 powered gyms just dominated all the mock battles, all the training. It could jump twice as high as a Zaku 2, turn around on a dime 180 facing downward, and thrust towards the Zaku 2 before the Zaku 2 could complete its jump and reacquire the powered gym as a target. It was quite an impressive mobile suit, but it was never tested in combat, and even though the 2 test pilots were former Federation aces, this mobile suit was not ready for an enemy they did not know was there. So during the events of 0083, the starting of Operation Stardust, otherwise known as the Last Blitz of Zeon, by the Daela's fleet, who was led by a very ambitious and some would say foolhardy commander that was completely in love with the Zeon way of life, the plight of the Space Noids, and the dictatorship of the Sabi family. And his right-hand man was the premier ace of the 1st Assault Corps for the Zeon, and that is the Nightmare of Solomon, Anavel Gato, and we will get to him in a future episode on this channel because he is one of the most compelling and awesome villains out there. I would say for anime, he rivals Darth Vader easily. But to give you an idea, in the very first episode of 0083, this man who already had one of the highest kill counts in the Zeon forces, second to maybe only Johnny Raiden or Shin Matsunada, and he was an old type, not a new type, so he was a normal human being, was able to sneak onto Torrington Base and Gundam Jack the nuclear missile Gundam. He walked right in, got past the guards in a stolen uniform, and walked out with a Gundam. And with the help of 2 Domtropins and with the help of a large, massive artillery mobile armor that could fire battleship weapons, just totally obliterated in a surprise attack Torrington Base. And it was quite tragic. Many Federation soldiers lost their lives. And of course, the Gym Type Cs, the captured Zaku 2 F-types, and the powered Gyms sortied into battle against them, and the main pilot of the main powered Gym that was undergoing testing was piloted by Dick Allen, who was an ace and best friend to one of my favorite characters in the Gundam Universal Century timeline, South Burning. Sortied into battle, contributed in taking out one of the Doms, but the Zamel artillery armor with its long-range firepower devastated the command structure of Torrington Base. At least 3 Type C Gyms were disabled or destroyed during the battle, and at least 2 captured Zaku 2 F2 types were destroyed, as well as so much equipment, and Eneville Gato got away with the RX-78 GP-02A Gundam Fossilis armed with a nuclear missile. So it was quite a tragic sneak attack. No one was expecting it, and they did so much damage at the loss of just 1 Dom had defeated at least 5 mobile suits, destroyed the command center, which killed dozens of Federation officers, and did so much tremendous damage to the base, causing dozens and dozens of wounded and probably dozens of deaths. Of course, the Federation decided that they had to do something about this Gundam kidnapping, hijacking, and they sent their very best team on the offensive to try and track down the Gundam piloted by the Nightmare of Solomon Eneville Gato, and that consisted of Gundam Unit 1, piloted by Kuuraki, South Burning, in a RGM-79 Type C Commander's type, a captured Zaku 2 F2 type, which was piloted by Ensign Keith, and Dick Allen in the powered Gym. The powered Gym on paper should have been able to really turn the tide of the battle, but unfortunately, while he was about to shoot down the escape craft that Eneville Gato was going to use to leave atmosphere, he was ambushed by the 2nd Domtropin and took a giant bazooka shell, which is a 360 millimeter 360 millimeter weapon, which is larger than the guns on the USS Missouri. It's just a massive weapon. And he was ambushed, and this giant bazooka hit him right in the cockpit during this sneak attack, and Dick Allen was unable to use the superior thrust armor, maneuverability, and firepower of the armored Gym because the Zeon pilot was smart enough to attack him when he was vulnerable and knew exactly where to strike, hitting him in the cockpit, obliterating Dick Allen, and destroying the powered Gym. The other powered Gym did survive the battle, but was badly damaged during the sneak attack artillery strike, and I'm sure that powered Gym did contribute to the battle, but did not get any kills, and after that, the powered Gym disappeared from the Universal Century timeline. That data that was collected was handed off, and you see features of the powered Gym used on future mobile suits, but this was a short-term, very short-term production run of only 2 mobile suits in this line, and after they were destroyed or damaged, there was just no purpose and rebuilding them or making a line. It was just a test prototype mobile suit, but very, very tragic. On paper, this mobile suit was better than any of the mobile suits that the Delos fleet brought to this raid against Torrington Base at the start of Operation Stardust, but tactics, better piloting, and surprise attacks defeated these two mobile suits before they could shine and show the world what they could do. And unfortunately, the Ace Dick Allen, South Burning's best friend, lost his life in the engagement. And the second Gundam unit, Gundam Fossilis, escaped to wreak havoc upon the Federation much later on, and it is very, very sad. Not one of the Federation's strongest or proudest days, a day that was stained in disgrace, and a day that reminds everyone that Zeon is not to be trifled with. In game terms, I got this mobile suit in a drop, and I was going to make a video on another drop I got, which was the Gelgoog Jaeger, which is a great mobile suit from Side Story 0080, War in a Pocket. It is a cool looking mobile suit, and I was ready to do that particular mobile suit this weekend, but for Gundam Sunday, I had some really good matches on Friday and Saturday where I was exploring Ace mode and also exploring Target Shuffling, which are great modes, just terrific modes in Mobile Suit Gundam Battle Operation 2. And I happened to pull out this drop that I got, which is a level 4 powered gym, and I thought that I'd be totally overshadowed and outclassed. It is a 500-point mobile suit, so I thought if it's an unlimited Ace match, I should bring it in there and see what it does, and gave it my Space Command Gym's level 4 bullpup, and the stats on it are quite incredible. I boosted with targeting enhancement software the already considerable range bonus, and I got up to 47 range bonus. And if you see in these replays, I am just tearing raids right up, and I can do some really interesting flight patterns. I can jump forward, then double jump back, or jump really far to the side, or clear several buildings in a single leap. And my bullpup, which I'm very used to using on lower tier, lower level mobile suits, does tremendous damage. I topped out at 286 per bullet, and the bullpup, even though it has a shorter range, it does roughly twice as fast rate of fire. And I am doing roughly almost 550 to 600 damage per second on raid mobile suits, and quite often 400 to 500 damage per second on non-raid mobile suits. It's quite impressive. And I'm used to the controls because I'm used to the command gyms, and I'm used to the Gym Kai, and I'm used to using the machine gun. So I was surprised I did so well. I got 10-0 in the first match while I was Ace, and I got 5-0 in the second match. Both were victories. Both were a blast. So I highly recommend the powered gym, even though it has a tragic story in the lore. As far as the game goes, it has a lot of useful skills. It can dodge. It has the same flight capacity as the Goof flight type. It can do lots of fancy tricks in the air, and it also has a lot of range firepower bonus, which you can boost up even higher with custom parts. So it puts a lot of damage out there. It's not really good for stunning or combos, so you have to keep into mid-range, but it does a lot of damage, and it's a lot of fun to fly. It jumps really high, it boosts really far, and it does some sick maneuvers in the air, and I absolutely love it. So that wraps it up on the RGM 79 powered gym. It was a lot of fun to pilot, and next week on Gundam Sunday we will be returning with the Zeon's dreaded Ace mobile suit, the Gelgoog Jaeger, the mobile suit of Shin Matsunada and Commander Shima Gadahau. Well, that's it from me for now, and I'll see you soon in Sinley Bay.